Hello, my name is Matt Schell with Capsim Management Simulations. I'm their Business Development Manager where I help our high school and career and technical education clients as well as assist with the development of future versions of CapsimInbox. And today, I'm excited to walk you through the CapsimInbox platform and show you just how we can assess and develop participants' soft skill development. Now, as far as an agenda goes, we'll start with a brief introduction to CapsimInbox, and then from there, we'll introduce you to us here at Capsim. After that, we'll go into why we decided to build CapsimInbox and what led us to that point. And after that, we'll show how we created this simulation-based assessment. Once we go through that, we'll take you through a walkthrough of the student experience to show you exactly how this would work in the classroom. And we'll close by providing you with both a summary of everything in this presentation and a little insight into the future of CapsimInbox with some new developments that we're currently working on. So to begin with an introduction to CapsimInbox, this is one of the world's first simulation-based soft skill assessments, where we're seeking to assess and develop the key soft skills as indicated by both research and some of our corporate clients as most critical for development in terms of new hires as well as existing employees. And those soft skills include initiating, problem solving, organizing, leading, and communicative abilities. And what CapsimInbox provides is a snapshot in time of a participant's soft skill development, and what we do is we have them go through three main stages during the assessment. The first of which is an experience overview, where we welcome them to the simulation and describe the scenario. And then from there, they go into a self-assessment where they're asked to evaluate their own current levels of the soft skills in question. From there, they go into the CapsimInbox simulation, where they're going to be placed right in the day in the life of a middle-level manager. And they're tasked with responding to certain stimuli and situations and try to effectively resolve said situations. After they complete the inbox simulation, we give them a very detailed feedback report where we talk about things such as self-awareness and skill gaps. And with this feedback, we help the participant create an individual development plan so that they can have actionable goals to improve their soft skill development. Now, with that brief introduction, I'd like to now talk to you a little bit about us here at Capsim. So we at Capsim are based within the city of Chicago, and we've been creating business simulation technologies for over 30 years now. In fact, we started in the mid-1980s. And there at the bottom, you'll see a few of the friendly faces here at Capsim that made CapsimInbox possible. Now, in terms of our clients and our reach around the globe, we're actually very well established in the higher education market. And at any given time, we're in about 960 schools around the globe, while providing support services to over 2,200 professors and instructors. This is in addition to providing support to over 127,000 higher education level students at any given time, too. And here you'll see just a few of our larger clients, some of which use CapsimInbox for accreditation purposes, so that way they can both improve their students on skill development and achieve their learning goals. Now, what we're also doing is we're getting established in the high school market as well. And we see CapsimInbox used in both high schools and in career and technical education centers, where it provides students with some great insight as to what they can expect it to be like when they are a manager at an actual company. This, in addition to trying to help them build a competitive advantage before they either continue their education or go into the workforce. And finally, we do a lot of work with corporations. In fact, we started making custom simulations for corporations back in the 1980s. And we still continue to work with many of them to this day, where we provide a variety of professional development solutions, such as management training and fast-track development for employees. And additionally, we assist them with the identification of high potential employees, with the majority of whom have these soft skills that we'll be discussing today. And as a result of working with these corporate clients, we really try to keep our ear to the ground to see what kind of skills are they looking for in terms of new employees, as well as the ones they wish they could develop with existing employees. And this, in addition with a lot of research out there, really demonstrated to us that we're in a critical moment right now when it comes to the importance of soft skill development. So why build CapsimInbox? So in addition to the feedback from our corporate clients, as well as a lot of the research out there, which we'll highlight in just a second, we noticed that there were a few qualities that always turned out in the top attributes for the most desired yet least common in new applicants. And these include leadership, communication, problem solving, teamwork, and initiative qualities that are almost always being within the top 5 attributes. And the lack of such capabilities is showing to be a primary obstacle to many individuals' long-term career success. And this may be in the form of problems with interpersonal relationships, or not being able to work in a team effectively, or being too functionally or too technically oriented. Now, what does the data have to say? Well, at the time we were developing CapsimInbox, we were looking at the Bloomberg Job Skills Report of 2016, where they indicated that the sweet spot for development, or the most desired and least common skills, happened to be leading, problem solving, and communicative abilities for new applicants. And it's not just something in the corporate sphere. If we look at it from an academic perspective, the Graduate Management Admissions Council surveyed over 6,100 MBA alumni and found that even after achieving their MBA, that 85% of them indicated a need for more management education. And if there was one primary area identified as most in need of development, it was this ability to manage human capital, again in the form of leading, organizing, and communicating. So now that we've gone through the research, how did we actually decide to create CapsimInbox, and what did we seek to achieve? Well, one thing we commonly do here at Capsim is try to infuse the science of learning into all of our business simulations and assessments. And it's our core belief that any tool to promote development in a participant must meet 4 criteria. And decades of research on performance feedback have identified these 4 criteria as required to promote meaningful development in students. And ideally, instructional tools using the classroom will address these 4 criteria through an engaging and experiential learning environment. Now, the first of these criteria is that we want to both assess knowing and doing. Now, popular instructional tools such as textbooks and case studies are effective in encouraging students to memorize concepts. However, these tools don't teach students how to apply those concepts in the real world. And as a result, educational lessons often have no relevance or value outside of the classroom. In fact, there was a recent study of over 2,600 students that showed that only about 20% of the knowledge students acquire in the classroom can be skillfully applied. Now, CapsimInbox seeks to address this by assessing students' understanding of their critical career skills being assessed and measured, and their ability to apply those skills to real-world problems and situations, all within a safe, simulated environment. Now, the second criteria is the ability to foster accurate self-awareness, and instructional tools should establish a medium for students to better understand themselves, their strengths and weaknesses, how others perceive their abilities, and how their skill proficiency is compared to others. And students who lack the level of self-awareness tend to strain relationships with their peers by misrepresenting their abilities and overestimating their contributions. In fact, to quote another statistic, the average correlation between self-evaluations and objective assessments is only about 0.29. And what this demonstrates is that we are generally very poor judges of our own abilities. Now, CapsimInbox fosters accurate self-awareness through a short self-assessment and post-inbox skill gap analysis. And the assessment is administered prior to the simulation to help students recognize how they perceive their skill proficiency. And then after the simulation, the skill gap analysis then reveals any discrepancies between the self-assessment and CapsimInbox results. Now, moving on to the third criteria is that we want to be able to deliver students an engaging and relevant experience. And traditional instructional tools struggle to engage a newer generation of students who possess shorter attention spans generally and tend to be more tech-oriented. And classroom environments that implement higher occurrences of lectures, reading, and note-taking can generate boredom in students and leave educators unable to nurture meaningful development. In fact, student engagement drops from about 75% in 5th grade to only about 34% by grade 12. Now, CapsimInbox delivers an engaging and relevant experience through a high-fidelity experiential learning environment. And the interface, which you'll see in just a second, is based on a modern email inbox and provides a familiar format that is used by students on almost a daily basis. And what CapsimInbox also does is it measures critical career behavioral skills identified in research as the most sought after, yet least common, as I was alluding to earlier. And their importance establishes relevance and creates a connection between the simulation-based assessment and the student's future career success. Now, moving on to the final of the 4 criteria is that we want to provide the participants with actionable feedback. And the majority of student feedback consists of holistic grades that range from A's to F's and are measured against a rubric or a set of standards in order to determine a quality of students' performance. However, this type of feedback lacks the developmental aspect needed to nurture meaningful student development. In order for feedback to accomplish this, it must allow the students to identify strengths and weaknesses while providing actionable and guided recommendations for improvement. In fact, another study compiled data from over 131 studies with over 12,000 participants where they were measuring the impact of feedback on student development. And what they found was that over a third of feedback that was provided to students negatively impacted their engagement and performance. Now, how does CapsimInbox address this? Well, we provide actionable feedback that is objective and reflects on specific factors behind student performance. And we're going to guide them through their shortcomings and provide actionable recommendations for improvement, which leads to the development of an individual development plan, or an IDP. And we guide the students through the creation of SMART goals and incorporate proven developmental tactics to improve these skill proficiencies. So now that we've detailed why and how we came to CapsimInbox, now what I'd like to do is take you on a walkthrough of the student experience. And one thing to note is that all of Capsim's products, all of our business simulations and assessments, are entirely web-based applications. So all students are provided with their own individual login, and they simply log on at capsim.com through any of the major browsers, or through single sign-on via an LMS integration that we have at this time. And then they have immediate access directly to the assessment itself. And here what you're seeing is the student dashboard for the CapsimInbox simulation. Now, as you can see here, we've already taken CapsimInbox General Management back in July. But what we're going to be doing now is going to be taking a post-test assessment where we'll be able to compare the results of CapsimInbox to show empirical, longitudinal development of these soft skills. So let's go ahead and start by clicking Take Assessment. So what participants are greeted with first is a welcome page with an introductory video which will go over what is CapsimInbox, what are the soft skills that we'll be assessing, and why are they important to one's college and career readiness. And after this introductory process, we'll go ahead and click Next here at the bottom. And then you're brought to a self-assessment where they are asked the question, relative to your peers, where do you place yourself on the following skills? So on a percentile. Now students will do this for each of the 5 soft skills in question, and if they need any reminder about what the skill might entail, we have little info buttons there on the side that will provide them with clarification. In a way that serves as a form of a pretest, and we're going to end up using this later to compare it against the inbox simulation after they complete that. So let's go ahead and click Next. Now after they go through the self-assessment, they're going to be introduced to their role at the company. And here's where we give them a little bit of information about the company itself, such as their vision, their core values, and the products that they may encounter throughout the course of the simulation. And we also provide detail on who you'll be managing during this time too. After they complete the self-assessment and the onboarding, they'll go right into the inbox simulation. And as you can see, it looks very much like the inboxes that we use on a daily basis, whether it be Outlook or Gmail. And the main story with CapsimInbox is that you are put in the role of a middle-level manager. You've just come back from a long vacation, and you've been inundated with emails from both supervisors and subordinates. And you're tasked with answering all of these emails within the next 60 minutes time. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at things such as the individual's time management, as well as the proficiency and the consistency of their responses. Now, as for how do they make those responses, they are multiple choice. And while it's not about picking a correct answer, it's about picking the most effective answer in relation to the soft skills we're trying to assess. Because just like in the real world, there may be many different ways to handle a given situation, but are you going about it in the most effective way? So as they're going through these emails, they may find that they need to do a bit more research in order to be well informed enough to respond to some of them. So what we have here on the left is a company drive. And within this company drive is going to be a variety of different files that may help them justify some of their decisions, maybe even pictures, for instance. But what's important to note is that they're going to be presented with other stimuli as well, such as instant messages. We'll go ahead and pop one up right here. Now, in addition to these for your information emails, and in addition to some that need to be handled immediately, there's also going to be some detractors in here too. And as you can see with this particular instant message, because of our managerial capacity, we may want to prioritize some other things outside of looking at some funny photos. So sorry, Harold, we'll have to wait on that. Now, on average, the simulation takes about 30 to 40 minutes to complete, and after which we compare the self-assessment with the inbox assessment. So let's go ahead here and click Feedback Report. So what we're doing here is we're providing them with a very detailed report and showcasing a few key bits of data. So first and foremost, we show them their overall performance in relation to other CapsimInbox users on a percentile basis. Below that, we provide them with the developmental index that speaks to just how proficient their responses were in the exercise and how consistent they were able to make those responses. Below that, we talk about self-awareness levels. And this is where we start actually comparing the self-assessment in relation to the inbox assessment, so we can identify just how well do you know your own skills. And then here at the bottom, and perhaps most importantly, is where we visualize the skill gaps. That way we can identify which of these soft skills are in most need for improvement, in this case being organizing and initiating qualities. Now, after they get this feedback, we of course want to put it to use, and we help the students create an individual development plan, where we provide them with a video that shows them how to do so, and down here at the bottom, we show them their scores for each of the skills, the level of developmental need, and then they have the option to improve those skills. So they're going to be creating these actionable goals to improve their soft skills over time. And the way that it works is that CapsimInbox provides them with a variety of definitions, scenarios, and examples of what they can expect of these soft skills in terms of their importance in their future. And then from there, it asks for the students to reflect on how do these skills factor into my particular situation? How will I encounter these in an academic as well as in a career setting? And then they set their goals themselves. So essentially, they come out of this saying, I want to increase my organizing capabilities by 10% by this date, and here's how I would like to be assessed to see my progress. And within CapsimInbox, we provide several types of post-assessments, such as self-evaluation, peer evaluation, instructor or managerial evaluation, and of course what's most common is the ability to go through CapsimInbox again. Because we very commonly see this used in a pre-test, post-test scenario, where it'll be used at the beginning or at the end of the course of a program, so that way they can see empirical, longitudinal soft skill development. So now that we're back here at the dashboard, I can demonstrate how we show your results. So here, you'll see your first application of CapsimInbox alongside your second application as well. And then down here, we actually show the development for each of the soft skills in question and the percentage change over time between the two applications. And that's what's perhaps most interesting about Inbox is it's not something you just take once or twice. This is something you could take multiple times throughout both your academic and your career setting. And throughout your career, you may want to check in just to see where your skills are at the moment. And you'll be able to see your performance going all the way back to the very first time that you went through CapsimInbox. And this concludes our walkthrough of the student experience. Now going back to the presentation, what I'd like to do now is show you that with this simulation, with this platform, we've been able to create several different versions of CapsimInbox for different scenarios and different career fields. In fact, the one that we've been primarily focusing on is the first iteration of CapsimInbox called General Management, where you are a director of sales and operations at a manufacturing company, and we're of course trying to assess and develop these key soft skills that we've been mentioning throughout this presentation. Now the second iteration was CapsimInbox People Management, a more human resource focused assessment where you're an associate principal at a management consulting firm. And what we're looking to see is how do you structure your work and manage talent, as well as how are you with these general management soft skills. And then the third and most recent iteration of CapsimInbox is called Ethical Decision Making. And this one's particularly interesting because you're a general manager at a boutique hotel and you're faced with all sorts of different ethical conundrums as we try to assess your ability to recognize issues, generate solutions, and evaluate consequences, among other things. So with these different versions, we've seen a variety of different applications and outcomes so far when it comes to CapsimInbox. The first of which is we see it embedded directly into courses. And these could be Management 101 courses, leadership, communication-based, or even managerial decision-making based classes as well. Now outside of regular courses, we also see this used at the program level as either part of the onboarding process or as a structured experience at orientations or boot camps. But it doesn't stop there. We've also seen it used in career services as a tool to deliver specific career-related feedback in terms of your general skill assessment, career counseling, or for your own professional development. And then finally, we see it utilized in non-degree programs as a curricular content for an executive program, certification programs, and even corporate outreach. But regardless of the way the Capsim Inbox is applied within a program or a class, the instructor can rest easy knowing that we make customer support one of our primary focuses here at Capsim. In fact, anyone that uses Capsim Inbox, in addition to any of our other business simulations or assessments, is provided with unlimited phone and email support both before, during, and after the time they use our solutions. And this includes course setup, how they like it structured within their course, debrief training to be able to translate these results to their students, and even provide additional activities and supplemental resources to aid in their instruction. Now, coming to a close, I'd like to provide a summary of what we discussed today. So to start with workability, Capsim Inbox's web-based application allows us for significant scalability, regardless of the number of individuals going through the inbox assessment and regardless of their location as well. This, and it's also self-directed process, and it's fairly quick to go through, within an hour, far shorter than the time necessary to do similar assessments. Now moving on to the results, what evidence there that we're hitting these goals, and what do the numbers indicate? Well, first and foremost is that we utilize subject matter experts in the creation and validation of any version of Capsim Inbox. And in terms of user numbers, we've had 4,200 users go through Capsim Inbox within the last year's time, and this represents 333% growth since August of 2017. Now when it comes to attractiveness, we then refer to the high fidelity experience, and that it is a familiar format being email that the students use every day. It's also a very guided process, then going back to self-directedness. And then thirdly is that we are actually WCAG 2.0 Class AA third-party verified for ADA compliancy when it comes to Capsim Inbox. So any sort of supplemental input devices or color contrasts or even closed captioning concerns, we account for up front, and we're one of the very few simulations to attain this. And then there's the interest. And what the interest is that students are given control over taking ownership of their own development. And we also provide them with tailored feedback that they can only get from a few other resources out there. And then also there's the level of engagement that it garners from students because it's such a practical application. And I'd like to share you a quote with one of our inbox clients. So this is from Dr. Anna Parkman at Ohio State University. And she says that many of the students want to be able to do it again. Not immediately, but they were like, oh, this would be great if I could do this again in 3 months when I practice what I put into my goals. And she says that is a level of engagement that you don't hear in class a lot. Now moving on to message delivery is that we try to visually represent data as often as we can in Capsim Inbox. And a good example of this would be the skill gaps chart that we have. Now as a part of that, we give very detailed feedback to the students. That way they can create these action goals. That way they can improve those soft skills. And then also, there's a variety of multimedia throughout the simulation itself, whether it be during the onboarding process, within the company drive in the simulation, or as a part of the creation of their individual development plan. Now, in regards to support, we have that very thorough onboarding process which will introduce them to what they can expect in Capsim Inbox, what will their role be in the simulation, and why are these soft skills important to them. And because of its self-directed format, there's very much an ease of implementation, and again, takes away from the administrative burden. And then third is the level of client support that we give. So this is going back to that simulation training, the training with debriefing, as well as course setup that we provide before, during, and after the course. And then finally, there's the potential. Now we have a tool that can actually demonstrate empirical longitudinal data on skill development over time with students. And what's great is that these soft skills in particular are applicable to all careers, not defined just to business. And what this has done is it's provided us with limitless potential for future versions of Capsim Inbox. And now I'd like to give you a glimpse into that future by showing you a few of the different versions of Inbox that we have currently in development. In fact, the next one that we'll be coming out with is Data Analytics, Forensic Accounting, which will soon be followed by a Business Law and Healthcare Administration version. And at varying other stages of development, we're working on a marketing, crisis management, time management, and operations management versions of Inbox 2. And that concludes our presentation of the Capsim Inbox platform. Again, my name is Matthew Schell, Capsim's Business Development Manager, and I'd like to thank you for your time today. And if you'd like to learn more about Capsim Inbox, please feel free to visit us at www.capsim.com. Thank you very much, and have a great day.